You are trying to make a potion that stops death. You mix sulfur, charcoal, and a white crystalline powder together, and then your entire workshop explodes in your face. You just accidentally invented the thing that would kill millions. You were looking for immortality and found the opposite. This moment in China around 850 AD changed everything forever. And it started not with soldiers, but with men seeking eternal life. What they created would outlive every empire they ever knew. You need to understand who was actually in that workshop. Not a weapon maker, not a soldier, not a general. A Taoist alchemist searching for the elixir of immortal life. Taoism taught that nature held the secret to defeating death. So for generations, alchemists mixed everything they could find together: mercury, arsenic, gold, jade, everything nature offered them. Then one combination behaved in a way nothing else ever had. Saltpeter, charcoal, and sulfur, the three ingredients that changed history. Saltpeter was already known. Chinese cooks used it to preserve food. Nobody imagined it could burn like nothing on Earth ever had. The first recorded gunpowder formula appears in 850 AD China. A Taoist text warns specifically not to mix these three things. A warning in a text means someone already made the mistake. Someone before 850 AD already burned their workshop down. What happens when you ignite gunpowder is not an explosion at first. It deflagrates. It burns faster than anything natural can burn. Contain that burn inside a tube, and the force needs somewhere to go. It pushes outward with a force that nothing can simply absorb. Your ancestors understood this in 900 AD and made the fire lance, a spear that shoots fire directly at whoever stands before you. Imagine being on the other side of that for the very first time. And this is only where the story starts to get strange. Chinese military commanders watched the fire lance and had one thought: what if the fire could carry something with it as it leaves? They packed the tube with shrapnel, pottery shards, and small stones. When it fired, the shrapnel scattered outward at killing speed. Now, the weapon didn't just burn the enemy, it tore through them. But bamboo had a problem. It burned too. It wasn't strong enough. So your ancestors did something that took genuine engineering brilliance. They cast the tube in bronze, then in iron, then in steel. The hand cannon is born. Around 1250 AD in southern China, a metal tube designed for one purpose: to send a projectile forward. But the hand cannon alone didn't change the world yet. It was slow to reload, inaccurate, and terrifying mainly from noise. Veteran soldiers still preferred their bows, their crossbows, their swords. So what made this clumsy, noisy, slow weapon take over everything? It required almost no training to use effectively against armor. A knight in full armor was essentially untouchable by arrows. But a metal ball fired from a cannon went straight through armor. Suddenly, centuries of armor training and craftsmanship meant nothing. The most expensive military investment a knight could make was worthless. And armies that couldn't afford knights could now afford guns. The gun didn't just change warfare, it changed who could wage it. Now watch how this invention travels from China across the world. The Mongol Empire in the 1200s connected China to the Middle East. Mongol armies carried gunpowder weapons into every territory they conquered, and the people they conquered studied those weapons immediately. By 1300 AD, the Middle East had their own versions of the hand cannon. They called it the madfa, and it was already more refined. Then Arab traders carried it west into Europe, and Europe changed forever. Europe in 1300 AD is a continent of castles and armored knights. Warfare meant siege walls, armor formations, and hand-to-hand combat. The castle was the ultimate military advantage for over 500 years. You could hold a castle with 50 men against 500 attackers. Then, European craftsmen get their hands on gunpowder. And everything shifts. They don't make it smaller. They make it monumentally bigger. The bombard. A cannon so large, it takes teams of oxen to move. It fires stone balls the size of a grown human's torso. And in 1453, it ends an empire that lasted over 1,000 years. The walls of Constantinople held for 1,000 years, then didn't. Every castle in Europe suddenly became an expensive, irrelevant structure. The age of castles ended not gradually, but almost immediately. But the hand cannon still had one problem that limited everything. You needed a second hand to hold a burning match to fire it. In the 1400s, a German gunsmith solves this with one mechanism: a spring-loaded clamp that held the match and pulled it down automatically. The matchlock musket. You can now aim and fire with one motion. For the first time in history, a ranged weapon is easy to use accurately. Armies begin replacing entire units of archers with musketeers immediately. An archer trained for 10 years. A musketeer trained for 10 days. Noble knights in armor disappear from European battlefields within decades. A social class built on military superiority simply stops being superior. The feudal system begins unraveling because of a spring-loaded clamp. One invention from a Chinese alchemist's accidental explosion in 850 AD. You live in a world shaped entirely by that one accidental explosion. Every war, fought with firearms, traces back to that bamboo workshop. The man who made it was never trying to build a weapon. He was trying to help people live forever, and failed spectacularly. History's most world-changing inventions often came from people seeking something else. Curiosity aimed at one door often opens an entirely different one. The first gun was never supposed to exist. And yet, here you are. Looking for immortality, they found the thing that ended it for millions.